even our environment like that.
I think we're going to be discovering the impact of Ian for years to come. But right now, we got to toss it over to Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls as we give you this live look from the Bayfront Inn, where you can definitely see that cloud coverage there in Collier County.
Yeah, and we know Collier County, Katie, is a spot that needs rain desperately.
That's right, the driest county in the state. And right now, we are receiving some much needed rainfall. And our models pinpointed this beautifully yesterday. This is basically exactly where we were anticipating that development to occur this afternoon. So south of Naples, specifically Lely, down to Marco Island. That's where we have this cluster of nearly stationary showers and storms, producing some much needed rain here across southwestern Collier County. So if you are traveling from Lely, say down toward 41 or maybe south on 951 heading down to the island, we are going to be dealing with those areas of heavier rain. Also, we do have some of those cloud to ground lightning strikes extending not just from Marco Island, but back toward Goodland as well. And then, of course, those heavier downpours sitting just offshore. So those storms will gradually taper here in the next couple of hours. Elsewhere, partly cloudy and warm conditions will prevail. So temperatures gradually dropping out of the 80s after sunset into the upper 70s by 8 and 9 o'clock, then mid 70s expected by 10 to 11. So hitting your hour-by-hour forecast right here, 7 o'clock, there we go, that cluster specifically here in Collier County, moving offshore by Fox 4 News at 10 and 11. And overnight tonight, quiet conditions are expected. Mostly clear to partly cloudy skies are forecast. And the good news, too, not worried about foggy spots slowing down your Friday morning commutes. Lots of sunshine on the way, and your afternoon will be breezy at times. We'll see those winds generally out of the east, 10 to 15 miles per hour, and we could see some gusts around 20 miles per hour. Possibility for a passing sprinkle, but not expecting the downpours that we have on radar right now in southern Collier County. Looking ahead to your Saturday, a bit more cloud cover expected. We'll call for a partly cloudy sky. Best chance for showers on your Saturday will be inland to the east of I-75. So especially Hendry into Glades, northern Collier, up toward Immokalee, same spots that picked up that wet weather yesterday. It's Saturday afternoon that you could see again the development of a few of those spotty rain showers. But honestly, your rain chances looking through the next 5 days and even through the next 7 days, they'll range between 10 to 20% every single day. It just depends upon the wind direction as to where we'll see that opportunity develop. So for tomorrow, just a 10% chance. They're running around 20% as we head through the weekend and into the start of next week. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy, becoming mostly clear. 65 degrees is where we'll start off the day. In Fort Myers and Cape Coral, lower 60s expected for Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, and Arcadia. And down toward Naples and Marco Island, we'll start off the day around 67 degrees. As for those high temperatures tomorrow, we'll be flirting with records. The record stands tomorrow at 90 degrees. It's going to be another close one. Again, we've already had 5 record highs this month of March. It has certainly been a hot one, and it looks like we could potentially tie that record for the 6th record this month. So we'll certainly be keeping a close eye on that. Lower 90s expected farther inland for Immokalee as well as LaBelle. 7-day forecast showing off the opportunity for a passing inland rain shower on your Saturday. Temperatures staying hot well above normal into next week.
Well, right now we're taking a look at the top stories we're following for you across the country. Investigators in Kentucky, they're trying to figure out find out what caused 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters to crash during a nighttime training exercise.
Yeah, 9 people were killed in that crash. The Army has deployed an aircraft safety team from Fort Rucker, Alabama, to investigate just what caused this deadly crash. Army officials say the pilots were able to land in an open field across from a residential area, so there were no additional casualties or injuries on the ground. These aircraft are equipped with something like a black box, which, if recovered, could provide information about what actually led to this really unfortunate event.
And then in Minnesota, another trail derailment, now forcing residents to evacuate there. This train derailed around 1 o'clock this morning, and officials say a fire then quickly spread through several cars, as you see here. Police say many of those cars were carrying a form of ethanol and a corn syrup liquid, which started that fire. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported in this crash, but Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg tweeting the Federal Railroad Administration is on the ground and tracking that situation. We'll be right back.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 5.
Could this be it? That is something I know so many of you might be wondering as we introduce this next story, because we're learning more sidewalks could be coming to Cape Coral. So many of you have advocated for this, and the city is looking to see if one specific area in the south part of town actually needs them.
And listen to this, they are using cameras to help them figure this all out. So Fox 4's Caitlin Knapp is now live on Skyline Boulevard between Cape Coral Parkway and El Dorado. And Caitlin, how does the camera work here for this study?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's actually like a sensor. Someone walks past it or rides their bike, and then that camera tracks it, and then that data will go to city council members. That camera was actually taken down today, but it's not the only tool that they're using to get input from people on whether or not they want the sidewalks. Here's a little bit about the project, though. So on one side of the road, there's only one bike lane, as you can see. There could potentially be a 5-foot sidewalk on both sides of Skyline, and that's what the study will help city council figure out, if that's necessary. I asked Tom Hayden with the city council what's the determining factor for that to happen, in his opinion.
There's a clear and present danger that people's lives could be endangered riding on the side of a busy road, then yes, that's always going to be the main indicator if we're going to look at putting a sidewalk on a road.
Putting sidewalks in will affect about 120 people who live around here. They would need to remove about 50 palm trees, and some mailboxes would have to be relocated. Keep in mind that this is separate from another project going on that is putting a sidewalk within 1 mile of schools. Now, Tom Hayden was also telling me that a lot of people have been expressing concern and even frustration over the lack of sidewalks is what prompted this project to happen, but a lot of people also say they don't want this project to go forward. That's a story I'm working on for you tonight on Fox 4 at 6. Reporting live in Cape Coral, Caitlin Knapp, Fox 4.
All very interesting, Caitlin. Thank you. Also, crews on Sanibel are now bringing down trees that were damaged or dying on the island. Officials are now tagging those trees that need to be taken down. And it is so heartbreaking to know how green Sanibel was. And if you see our drone video now, it's a lot of it is dead. But thousands of trees are either sick or dying from all of that saltwater exposure from Hurricane Ian. So trees that are tagged, if they are located within a public property on Sanibel, or show that the damage and impact from being soaked in that salt water will bring them down. So the trees that pose threat to infrastructures will also be tagged to be brought down.
Also want to remind you here, today was the last day to visit the Business Recovery Center in Cape Coral. Technically, customer service representatives are available at the Kiwanis Club until 6, so if you can get there in the next half hour, you can connect with them, but you can get help applying for disaster loans and much more. But again, today is the last day to do so. The difference here is today's the last day to do it in person. Also, we are following several state stories for you as well. We want to start in St. Petersburg, where colleagues of a missing attorney came together today to honor him right outside of the courthouse there.
So Steve Causey was actually reported missing last week after he left his office to use a public restroom and never returned. Now, a local plastic surgeon, Tomasz Kozłowski, now has been charged with first-degree murder in his disappearance. However, Causey's body has not been found, so friends and colleagues at the St. Petersburg Bar Association did hold a moment of silence at yesterday's vigil to support his family, including his husband. They described Causey as a genuine and kind man.
We want to take you to Tallahassee, where abortion advocates faced another defeat. They rallied right outside of the state capitol protesting the latest advancement of a 6-week abortion ban. It's currently 15. The bill cleared its final House committee this morning, the Republican majority pushing it through. The ban is now ready for floor votes in both chambers of the legislature, which could come as soon as next week. If signed by the governor, the policy cuts back current law from 15 to 6 weeks, but it does make exceptions for rape, incest, and fatal fetal conditions. 6 weeks is around the time cardiac activity is detected, but it is before many know that they're pregnant. Later this year, the Florida Supreme Court is expected to consider whether the current 15-week law is constitutional.
Well, it is official that Disney World workers will be getting a raise. Yesterday, members of the coalition of unions representing thousands of Disney workers voted yes on the company's latest offer for a pay increase. So they ratified the contract here. More than 12,500 workers actually voted here, with 97% voting yes on this contract. Under the agreement, new and existing Disney World workers will be entitled to a $17 an hour salary, while current cast members will receive an $18 an hour salary. Workers are also entitled to annual pay increases for every year of the contract.
Here's a story I know so many of you will find interesting. Tiger King star Carol Baskin is shutting down her animal sanctuary, which is located in Hillsborough County. The nonprofit Big Cat Sanctuary is officially closing. The remaining animals will be transported over the coming months to a wildlife refuge based in Arkansas. Once all the cats have gone, the 67-acre property will be sold. Back in December, Baskin told Fox Business her campaign to protect the animals from private ownership, unauthorized zoos, and circuses has been effective. Michelle?
New numbers on the economy out today show it grew at a slower pace in the last 3 months of 2022 than previously estimated. The government says the growth was at 2.6%. That's a tenth of a point less than the previous estimate. New applications for jobless benefits are up, but they're still historically low. Claims increased by 7,000 to 198,000 last week. The 4-week average of claims is still below the 200,000 threshold for the 10th straight week. The recent turmoil in the banking system is likely to have ripple effects throughout the economy. A recent report from the Federal Open Market Committee says credit conditions could tighten. And it's daunting news for business owners, especially those in the Latino community who already face difficult conditions. Dan Grossman looks at how they're working to get more representation.
In the last decade, the number of Latino businesses has grown far more than any other demographic, 44% compared to only 4% for non-Latino owned businesses. But in cities like Santa Ana, California, Latino business owners say they still face obstacles when it comes to getting the same representation as their counterparts.
The streets are dead. Downtown is a ghost town.
You're about to meet two Latino women who are decades-long business owners in Santa Ana.
Here you go.
Gigi Sanchez, a health supplement store owner, and Juliet Castro, a hairstylist that has served those in the greater LA Latino community for more than 20 years. Two very different ventures with one very common thread.
So bad, my business.
They don't feel recognized by their city and say it has hurt their bottom line.
The main thing is that the Latino community feels discriminated. They feel like we've been pushed back, and this is stuff that I even ask my customers, why aren't you guys coming back anymore?
Across the country, Latino businesses are growing at a faster rate than any other demographic. The 2021 State of Latino Entrepreneurship Report shows since 2007, Latino-owned businesses have grown 55% compared to 8% for white-owned businesses. If those businesses grow as fast as the U.S. average, they could add $1.4 trillion to the U.S. economy. But that's if. Sanchez and Castro say they haven't been recognized by the city's free promotional materials to the same degree as other businesses in Santa Ana. Starting last year, they and 80 other minority business owners banded together to protest to the city, which led to the city council voting to dissolve the downtown business district in January, as it was requiring business owners to pay $1,000 a year for its promotional materials.
I feel sad, I feel mad, I feel angry, I have a lot of emotions. I feel sad for my customers that they don't feel good enough, that their money's not good enough anymore.
I mean, it's always important for residents to feel like their government is listening to them, that their elected officials are listening to them.
Paul Eakins is the city's spokesperson and says the decision was made as recompense to business owners. Of Santa Ana's 307,000 residents, 77% are Latino, according to the latest census. It goes to show the degrees some say they still need to go to ensure they're represented properly.
4th Street is recognized as a little Mexico town. It's our community. It's where we find our dresses. It's where we find our language. That's how we feel secure.
These women say that security can be hard to find if they aren't afforded the same opportunities as everyone else, showing even though there is growth in the Latino business sector, there is still far more growth to be done. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Santa Ana, California.
Well, we have breaking national news right into our newsroom. Really historic. A grand jury in Manhattan has voted to indict President Donald Trump, making this decision literally just moments ago.
You said it is historic. This is the first time a former or current president in America has ever faced criminal charges. And we do know that this is going to impact the 2024 elections. We also know that the former President Donald Trump has vowed that he's still going to run for 2024 despite this official indictment that just came down. Again, we do know that our Fox National team is working on this. We're hopefully going to bring you more information as it comes down.
Yeah, you can stick right here with Fox 4 as we learn more. Again, this breaking just moments ago. Michelle?
A mom who lost her 19-year-old daughter to a sudden cardiac arrest back in 2013 is on a mission to make sure even more schools are equipped with AEDs.
She had an unwitnessed cardiac arrest. Her roommate found her in the apartment, immediately ran for help. They attempted CPR. There was not an AED in the building at the time. So by the time she was found, it was honestly too late. There was nothing that could be done. But since then, her university has installed AEDs in every single building on campus.
But Julie Walker says getting AEDs in schools is just the first step. There's a big need for more education around how and when to use them. And doctors agree.
It's not the presence of the AED. It's the presence of an AED and people who are willing to use it.
Dr. Cortez works with the Ohio branch of Project Adam. It's a nationwide program that works to provide training and education to schools on AEDs and CPR.
And one of the first questions I asked the entire faculty of the school, who knows where the AED is? The nurse and the coach raised their hand. So if your child faints in math class, the teacher will call the nurse. The nurse may be across the building.
She says that's dangerous because survival rates drastically decrease 2 to 5 minutes after a cardiac arrest with no medical attention. So how do you know when to get the AED?
Let's say they pass out and it's really from low blood sugar and they don't need an AED. That's fine. Put the AED on. It will analyze the rhythm and say, no shock advised. So all you need to know is if somebody faints and is unconscious, go get the AED.
If the AED is needed, she says there are easy instructions to follow on the device. If you want to be more prepared, the Project Adam website offers tutorials. And some of that moms and doctors' concerns around AEDs are addressed in a new bill aiming to increase access to AEDs in schools. The lawmaker behind the Access to AEDs Act says it was shaped by a Scripps News investigation, which found that in 40% of cardiac arrests at U.S. schools, life-saving AEDs went unused in the minutes before emergency crews arrived. The new bipartisan bill directs the Secretary of Health and Human Services to give up to $25 million in grants over 5 years to public schools, so they can develop or strengthen comprehensive AED programs. Money can be spent on training staff and students on how to use the devices and go toward buying new AEDs or replacing old ones. The money can also be used to help athletic departments screen student athletes for risk of sudden cardiac arrest.
We were talking about all the records that Fort Myers has set this month, but how about Naples tying that record today? 89 degrees that tied the former record set back just a couple of years ago. We'll talk more about even hotter temperatures moving in here in the days ahead next.
We're headed into prom season, but the cost is putting a strain on finances and the environment. Amber Strong looks at how people are hoping to ease the burden.
Browsing the aisles at the Gifted Gown in Indianapolis is like stepping into the pages of a fairy tale.
It's your princess moment.
And if the Gifted Gown is a fairy tale, then Julia Rutland is the fairy godmother, granting the wish of more than 1,000 free dresses over the years.
Proms, military balls, black tie events, graduations.
She started small.
We started with 25 dresses and just started giving them away, and now we have over 2,800.
But couldn't help but notice the big impact and the even bigger need.
When they put it on and they just know that that's the dress, oh, it's the most beautiful feeling.
The goal is to make anyone, man, woman, reporter, feel like royalty for a day, regardless of income.
Everyone deserves to feel special and go to any event that they want. And I know that financial issues are are a hindrance for a lot of people.
Be it for prom or a wedding, a formal gown can run you anywhere from $100 to $1,000, depending on the designer. That's before you add the price of shoes and accessories. Then there's the environmental costs, all those gowns eventually ending up in the trash.
We go from extra small, so that's 0, and all the way up to 4X.
Across the country in Stafford, Virginia, middle school teacher Tasha Brzezinski says she's seen the financial impact on families too, including her own.
I was a child in need, so this for me is my way of paying it forward to other students who financially can't afford an expensive prom dress or just taking that burden off their parents.
Now she and fellow educator Jessica Hall organize a yearly pop-up prom shop, collecting gently used formal wear from the community and giving them away to students.
We did it at a local coffee shop, at a gym, and just the amount of dresses that we got in such a short time was insane.
Now the event has moved to the school, complete with dressing rooms and gowns for every body type. The project doubles as a learning opportunity for students who organize and fundraise throughout the year.
We have definitely worked on some technology. Now all of our students know how to create a flyer, to advertise, to communicate with adults.
When we work together, we learn more about each other, and we are like more of a leader to each other.
Hall says the bigger takeaway is the joy of giving back.
I really saw a need. Working in education, I work with these students all the time, and I do see their need. And of course, I get to know my students on more of a personal level, and I hear those stories from them. And I just thought, like, wow, this is something that I really want to bring to my community.
Rutland agrees, saying keeping those gowns out of the landfill and in the closets of people in need is a dream come true.
If COVID's taught us anything, it's been that it's not things that are the most important, but it's the moments and the people we love and making sure that we get out and participate in life.
Amber Strong, Scripps News, Indianapolis.
All right, and Fox 4 is staying on top of breaking news rattling our nation right now as President Donald Trump has officially been indicted in New York, facing criminal charges now as the Manhattan grand jury has indicted the president today.
The former president was indicted over a hush money payment made to the adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 election. No former U.S. president has ever been criminally indicted. That's why you were saying this is historic. And of course, this news is really set to shake the race for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024, in which Trump leads most polls.
And he has said, despite these criminal charges, he's still going to run for president. It's not going to take him out of this race. We will continue to follow this breaking news for you throughout the night. Again, this just into our newsroom. Manhattan grand jury voting to indict former President Donald Trump. Katie.
And turning to our weather now across southwest Florida, we had that little cold front come through last night, and we are feeling its effects today. First, though, a live look from the Bayfront in downtown Naples. Some ominous looking clouds there. We do have some cumulus and towering cumulus building, and even some showers and storms in southern Collier County. I'll pinpoint that for you in just a minute. First, though, quiet conditions here across Lee County as we look live northward from downtown Fort Myers toward North Fort Myers from the Luminary Hotel. Overall, things are on the warm side, but look at this. We talked about the effects of that front last night. So those dew points have dropped from the upper 60s into the lower 60s, some upper 50s this afternoon. So that's helping things to feel more comfortable. We're not facing that heat index that we were dealing with yesterday. Winds out of the east right now at 12 miles per hour. Naples set that record today, tying the record set back in 2021. Punta Gorda also hit 89. Well, it was 89 across the board. However, Punta Gorda and Fort Myers records were in the lower 90s. So we didn't quite get that high. But here we go, down toward Naples, really to the south of Naples. This is where we are tracking some of that much needed rain. I'm sorry that it's likely affecting you. If you're from Lely down to Marco Island, these are nearly stationary. We'll have to let them rain themselves out here over the course of the next couple of hours. So we're seeing much needed rainfall. We're seeing some lightning as well. So we're going to be keeping a close eye here. Let's take a closer look now. So traveling from Lely on 41, maybe down to 951 to head south down to Marco Island. You see that very distinct bullseye indicating that heavier rain falling there. Moderate rain continuing to fall right here across Marco Island. The heaviest actually situated just offshore. Also Goodland right now seeing some of that much needed moderate rainfall as well. I say much needed because Collier County is the driest county in the state. We now officially have extreme drought conditions, not just there, but in parts of Hendry as well as Lee. So for those of you heading out, storm south will be ending. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies are expected. Temperatures eventually dropping toward 80 degrees by 8 o'clock and then into the mid 70s by 10 and 11. So overnight tonight, we are expecting partly cloudy to mostly clear skies by 7 a.m. on Friday. Winds pumping out of the east 10 to 15 miles per hour. It will be a bit breezy at times for your Friday afternoon. Overall, though, I'm optimistic we'll see lots of sunshine. Could see an isolated rain shower develop for your afternoon, but those chances tomorrow running at just 10%. Notice we're really not expecting the heavier downpours that we've seen yesterday, and even those showers right now in southern Collier County, really just not expecting that kind of concentration for tomorrow. Looking ahead to Saturday, mix of clouds and sun expected. Again, it's going to be another warm one. Best chance for isolated rain on Saturday will be inland. It's all about the wind direction and where that's going to be taking that potential development. So farther inland for your Saturday afternoon, Hendry extending up into Glades toward Lake Okeechobee. That's where I am expecting most of that activity to be developing. Rain chances now continuing through the weekend, even into next week, range anywhere from 10 to 20%. So a healthy soaking rain that we could really truly use, just not in the cards at this point. Heading into tomorrow, 89 degrees my expected high. That'll be 1 degree shy of that record. It's going to be a close one. Then over the weekend, we stay well above normal in the upper 80s, hugging 90 degrees.
This Women's History Month, we've been reflecting on the many inspirational women who have made an impact on our country. Thomas Hoppa introduces us to the first woman to lose a limb in active combat, but go on to become a two-time Paralympian.
Honestly, I feel like the best way to inspire others is almost to lead by example.
In April of 2004, U.S. Army officer Melissa Stockwell set off on a ride-along to learn the route of a supply delivery convoy. She hadn't been in Iraq long.
I was there only 3 weeks before a roadside bomb took my leg. Losing a leg is something that you never expect. It, you know, I was sent to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, which at the time was in Washington, D.C. It's where all the wounded soldiers went from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Stockwell's life was changed forever, but she chose to accept the loss and move on. A philosophy of life she holds dear.
Anytime I had a bad moment or a bad day, I just had to kind of look around and realize that how lucky I was. You know, I'd only lost one leg. I had my mind, my heart, my life, because too many continue to give and give that ultimate sacrifice. So really putting things in perspective and kind of deciding that it didn't matter if I only had one leg or two. I wanted to still kind of get out, live the life that I wanted to live, and live my life for those that had given that ultimate sacrifice. You know, I found sports early on in my rehabilitation, and it truly just made me feel alive. It gave me self-confidence, self-worth, and I have kind of made my life sports.
She made history in the 2008 Summer Paralympics as the first woman to lose a limb during active combat to compete in swimming. And in 2016, she won a bronze medal in the triathlon.
The opportunities I've had, experiences being on the podium at the highest elite level, showing the world how much ability is in a disability, hoping to inspire the next generation of someone who might have a disability, the next generation of wounded veterans.
Stockwell continues to train and is aiming to compete in the 2024 Paralympics. And she's dedicated to inspiring other women just like her and using her platform to help wounded veterans.
One of the elementary schools just a few months ago, there was a little girl. She was in a wheelchair, and she was so cute. I mean, I just learned how to ski, and just kind of sharing stories and encouraging her to get out there and try everything, and it's pretty awesome. If my story can impact somebody in a positive manner, that's kind of the cherry on top of it all.
Thomas Hoppo, Scripps News, Colorado Springs.
Thomas, thank you for that report. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'm Michelle London. Fox 4 News at 6 is next.
Tonight, Fox 4 continues to watch out for you and the property insurance crisis in our state, as some say it's simply too much.
It's really disheartening.
So did the changes lawmakers make on property insurance during their special sessions do enough to cut down costs? We're investigating tonight.
Not one, but 4 different threats at Southwest Florida schools on this Thursday, including one that caused a Fort Myers school to go on lockdown.
And it's very scary, especially as a parent.
This is lawmakers' push to make gun access easier in the state. And breaking late, a Lee County educator is fired and now charged with felony child abuse.
We're live breaking down the allegations against this teacher, now accused of hitting students multiple times.
Live from Fox 4, this is breaking news.
And a major story, historic story, as we open up here. Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. Let's get right to it. Breaking across the nation and right into our newsroom right now. The first ever indictment of a United States president has just come down. A New York jury voting to indict former President Donald Trump just moments ago.
And you're looking live in New York City, where the world is watching to see whether or not the former president will get walked out by authorities soon.
So a Manhattan district attorney has been reviewing information about an alleged hush money scheme involving former President Trump. These allegations say that Trump paid out adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016.
And more than $130,000 in alleged hush money payments. And again, the investigation has shown that it initially came from his former attorney, Michael Cohen, who did plead guilty to doing this. And then the president then reimbursing Cohen at a later date. This is again the first time a former president has been indicted on criminal charges, and we do know Trump's team had previously classified those payments as legal expenses.
The question here is, how does this play a role in the 2024 presidential elections? He's one of the few who have thrown his name in the hat for the Republican nomination. The former president vowing, despite these criminal charges now officially down tonight, that he does plan to continue to run for president.
And it was just a few days ago he had a large event in Waco, Texas, as he's been trying to gather support for that presidential run. So definitely curious to see what the next steps are going to be. We'll be following it here on Fox 4 and online, fox4now.com. Also happening right now, we're learning more about the accusations facing Ardeen Johnson. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says that she was a teacher at Lehigh Acres who hit students multiple times.
Yeah, this is also breaking this afternoon. Colton Chavez is live at Lehigh Acres at Harns Marsh Elementary School, giving us the latest on these accusations. Colton, this is not what any parent wants to hear. What are you learning tonight?
Yeah, Nadine, Chris, you said it. So what we're learning tonight, we started taking a look at Harns Elementary School's website. And what we learned is that 39-year-old teacher Johnson actually worked with special needs children right here at the elementary school behind me. So we reached out to the spokesperson for the Lee County School District, Rob Spicker, and he says that Johnson was hired in September of last year, but no longer.
That's a girl's name.
Yesterday, when the school resource officer right here at Harns Marsh Elementary School learned Johnson was striking students. Now, Lee County Sheriff's Office says detectives responded immediately to the school and conducted interviews after having school district officials remove Johnson from the classroom. Now, investigators say Johnson slapped a victim in the hand and would strike them on the legs, back, and butt with a ruler. Now, a short statement from the district said they do not tolerate this kind of alleged behavior. Now, as you've heard Nadine and Chris say, this is an ongoing investigation, and as we continue to learn more information, one thing the Lee County Sheriff's Office detectives have told us is that more charges could be following this case. So we'll continue to update you both on air and online at fox4now.com. Live in Lehigh Acres tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
And this also coming for a day where many parents, many students watching the situations all across Southwest Florida. Lockdowns, including at Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, following law enforcement detecting another possible school threat. We first learned about this after confirming that Fort Myers police were following up on a tip that they found on social media.
Yeah, so Fox 4 did reach out to the Lee County Schools spokesperson there. His name's Rob Spicker, and he told us that this was a meme that said that there was a school shooter on campus here. Now, thankfully, that was not the case, and Fort Myers police did search the campus and investigated. Parents waited over an hour for a chance just to get their kids out of school today. We actually spoke with one freshman who says he felt helpless while they waited for an answer.
When I came to school, everyone was outside. I was confused, and officers were coming, and they just kept coming, and then they told us to go wait by the entrance, and I was just scared.
It's very concerning and it's very scary, especially as a parent. My son, he's a junior here at Dunbar High School, and I just started receiving numerous text messages and calls saying that there was an active shooting going on. So, of course, immediately I had to leave work and, see what's going on.
So that lockdown was lifted around 10 a.m. But listen to this. This was one of 4 school threats in Southwest Florida just within the last 24 hours, including in Venice, DeSoto County, and Glades County. 2 other teens were arrested. Check out fox4now.com for details on the other threats here in our area.
And this is all just happening 3 days after the school shooting in Nashville back on Monday morning, where investigators say a person shot and killed 6 others, including 3 9-year-old students at a private school. Back here in Florida, state lawmakers took another step to looser gun laws. The Republican majority in the Senate approved permitless carry this afternoon, sending it to Governor Ron DeSantis for his anticipated signature. Our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, is in Tallahassee with a deeper look.
As protesters chanted outside the Senate, inside the debate raged for the last time over permitless carry, which, if signed, would allow legal gun owners to carry concealed weapons without the currently required permit or training. For Democrats, it was a non-starter.
When this bill passes, however careful, however well-intended, people are going to die.
We should do everything in our power to make us safer. That's more important.
Republicans have said from the start they're trying to eliminate a government permission slip to access the Second Amendment.
What this bill does for the majority of Floridians is ensure that they have the right to protect those they love.
This bill attempts to return the God-given rights of humanity, the God-given rights of self-defense.
Others highlighted the bill's various public safety measures, like more active assailant training for law enforcement, better threat sharing for schools, and an expansion of Florida's Guardian program to private institutions.
This piece of policy is a continuation of the legacy of school safety that Florida prioritizes.
Even so, Democrats...
We must do more. We will do more.
And more guns does not mean more safety.
Voting unanimously against the measure.
27 yeas, 13 nays, Madam President.
So the bill passes.
Overwhelmed by the GOP supermajority, who, despite one defection, is delivering permitless carry to the governor as promised. His pen making it effective July 1st of this year.
At the Capitol, I'm Forrest Saunders, Fox 4.
Well, it is 6:07 on this Thursday as we shift now to weather, and you're getting a live look now from the Bayfront Inn in Collier County. You see boats are on the water. What you also see, Chris, are some darker clouds where the rain so much needed in this area.
And that drought situation we're seeing here in Southwest Florida, but also many parts of the American West, the Mountain West. So real factor right now. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls joining us.
That's right. From the plains to Texas, that's where we are seeing a lot of those drought conditions. But look at this. We have a bullseye right here over Southwest Florida. We are officially the driest part of the country on this side of the Mississippi River, which runs right through there. So there you go. It just goes to show how exceptionally dry it is. We received this new data in from the USGS Drought Monitor this morning. Now officially extreme drought here for parts of Collier, Hendry, into Lee. Elsewhere, severe drought conditions continue to worsen, and it's no surprise that we've seen it get worse over the course of March because of these factors. So far, it's the fourth hottest March on record, and Fort Myers has set more records this month, 5 so far, record highs, than any March on record. Also, it's the 8th driest March on record, so you factor all of that together, no surprise that we are seeing our drought conditions get worse. And with temperatures like this near records once again tomorrow, I'm expecting, unfortunately, those conditions to worsen here in the days and weeks ahead. We'll talk more about where we could see some much needed rain next.
All right, Katie, thank you for that. Well, 5 years after a Fort Myers police officer was killed in the line of duty, today a judge officially said the death penalty trial against Wisner Desmarais will begin on Monday.
Desmarais accused of taking Officer Adam Jobbers Miller's gun out of his holster and shooting him after a chase. This was near Palm Beach Boulevard outside of a gas station. The officer died 1 week later. Desmarais, who will represent himself, told Judge Robert Branding he's ready for trial. The judge explained that means during jury selection, Desmarais will handle questioning jurors himself and cross-examination of witnesses. He responded by saying that only God, not a jury, should judge him.
I just want to know what these people, what their backgrounds is and who they are. Because, you know, there's a lot of people. We picking a lot of people.
We are. And you'll get to ask exactly that question.
And jury selection is set to start on Monday with up to 75 candidates to be seen, with the hopes of being able to select 12 jurors and 4 alternates.
Also new tonight, the man who shot and killed an FWC officer who was off duty in 2020 has now been sentenced to life in prison. A judge handing down that sentence to Eliseo Hernandez today. Earlier this year, a jury ruled that Hernandez is guilty of killing FWC officer Julian Keene. Hendry County deputies say they found Keene's body in a canal with a bullet and several bullet wounds in his chest. Hernandez actually fled the scene after the shooting, again, now sentenced to life in prison. Well, we all know that homeowners insurance is expensive. It was a crisis before Ian and made so much worse after. Unfortunately, that news isn't getting any better tonight.
But what about all the effort in Tallahassee, all the special sessions to try to stop this? Coming up, Fox 4 Investigates looks over those laws to find out what is or is not working for you and your homeowner's insurance policy.
And there are more gators on Sanibel Island, and they are more aggressive tonight. All of this after Hurricane Ian. So coming up, the message from wildlife experts on how you can go out, enjoy the nature on Sanibel without disturbing the peace with these gators, and why they say the gators are more aggressive.
all of the destruction from just the habitat, whether it's the water or trees, hiding areas. These guys like to hide out on the banks.
We know Hurricane Ian changed so much of our lives, but it also changed the environment as well. Sanibel now has freshwater lakes that are just filled with salt water and dead vegetation that's scattered all across the island.
So here's what this is doing. It's making the alligators more active, visible, and aggressive. Fox 4 meteorologist Andrew Shipley spent the day at Sanibel learning more about these sightings and how the hurricane might be playing this role.
In recent weeks, residents on Sanibel have seen an increase in alligators up along golf courses and bike paths like this. Ranger Rob Howell says this increase could be because of the upcoming mating season and Hurricane Ian.
Because of that big storm, now we have a perfect storm for seeing gator behavior.
Ranger Rob says the hurricane changed the environment on Sanibel, including more saltwater lakes, leading to less food and habitat for alligators on the island.
If these fish are dying because of the pollution or because of the salinity changes, then they can't find food, so they're going to start looking around in new areas, new territories, and trying to find better places to live.
And not only are alligators looking for new habitats, they're quickly coming up on mating season.
So this is the time of year where the moms still might have some babies from last year, so they're going to be a little on edge with the new males walking around. Males are starting to look for females, so it's courtship season. They're being big and burly, and they're starting to make their calls and try to find females in territories to protect and defend, so they can then have their mating season, and then right after that follows the mom watching over the nest.
So on top of this being a busy time of year for alligators, throw in a major hurricane just 6 months ago. Many people have come to our area to help clean up, but may not know how to live with alligators. That was seen firsthand in December when an alligator attacked a worker from Arkansas washing his hands in a pond.
You gotta think that if you're going down into this water and you're splashing, that is making the same sounds of the prey items for these animals, so it's going to attract them.
So with the increased activity and visibility of alligators, how is a few tips to keep you and the alligators safe?
If you can't see the bottom of the water, presume there's gators in it. It's Florida. If you have a small pet, stay 10 to 20 feet away from the edge of the water. I know some of the paths are closer, so that means if you're walking a pet, walk it on the other side, just like you would walk your girlfriend or boyfriend on the opposite side of traffic. Because it's a danger, same kind of thing out here.
FWC says if you're concerned about any alligator, you can call their toll-free nuisance alligator hotline. That number you can see on the bottom of your screen. On Sanibel, meteorologist Andrew Shipley, Fox 4.
This weekend, people will gather to honor the lives lost from Hurricane Ian 6 months later.
Yeah, the city of Fort Myers announcing today that they will host a Together in Prayer vigil at the Calusa Sound Amphitheater in downtown this Saturday. So no matter religious preference here, it is an opportunity to come together and remember the 149 people who died in that storm, including 72 right here in Lee County alone. Everyone is welcomed with prayers both in English and Spanish. If you remember, not far from there was when this temporary memorial was set up.
And that went up just days after Hurricane Ian hit, something that touched the lives and hearts of really so many people all throughout Southwest Florida. As we take a look now, some of those clouds kind of working their way through there in Bequelia at Tarpon Lodge.
And the rain, much needed, but certified meteorologist Katie Walls has the radar up, and it's not really widespread, Katie.
No, not at all. It's actually, our models this time yesterday really pinpointed it beautifully. We expected the concentration to be right here in southwestern Collier County, so mainly to the south of Naples. That's where we do have some of these stubborn showers that are slowly but surely rating themselves out. And I know we're seeing some impacts on plans from Lely down to Marco Island, but just remember we could really use this rainfall. Any amount helps at this point, Collier County being the driest county in the state. So let's zoom in here. At least we're no longer seeing those cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Still, though, some showers if you are traveling, say, coming off of Tamiami Trail down 951 to Marco Island. Still seeing some of those light to moderate rain showers. Also, another heavier downpour right here over the Goodland area. Nearly stationary, but these will continue to rain themselves out here over the next couple of hours. Naples at the airport, we've only received 3/10 in the rain gauge the entire month. Fort Myers, just 1/10 in the rain gauge, making it the 8th driest March on record. And in Punta Gorda, we are in deficit by nearly 6 inches of rainfall. So regardless of where you are here in Southwest Florida, we could absolutely use some wet weather, especially when you look at temperatures like this. We actually hit 89. This did say 89, and then unfortunately our computers overrode it. But 89 in Fort Myers, as well as Naples and Punta Gorda. In Naples, that actually tied that record set back in 2021. So looking at your planning forecast, what to expect hour by hour. 8 o'clock, the sun has set, will be around 80 degrees. Then we'll drop into the mid-70s by 10 and 11 o'clock. And we are expecting clearing skies overnight tonight. So hour by hour, here we go. Overnight, clouds clear out. Tomorrow morning, a fairly sunny start expected. Winds generally out of the east, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Could see some gusts in the afternoon, upwards of 20 miles per hour. 10% rain chance. I'm not expecting really any healthy downpours to develop, but I could envision a sprinkle coming through, but rainfall that we really need, heavy rain just not in the cards for tomorrow. So just a 10% chance for a passing rain shower tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Looking ahead to your Saturday, we'll start off with a partly cloudy sky. Best chance for showers on Saturday afternoon will be farther inland, especially for glades extending into Hendry into northern Collier County. Similar spots that received a little bit of something yesterday in the rain gauge, especially toward Lake Okeechobee, is where I am expecting the better opportunity for your Saturday afternoon, while the coastline stays on the dry side. So those rain chances tomorrow through the weekend into the start of next week will run 10 to 20%. So you'll be lucky if you catch one of these hit and miss rain showers. Each and every day we'll see a little bit of a chance, but again, a widespread storm system just not in the foreseeable future. So partly cloudy skies becoming mostly clear overnight. We'll start off around 65 or so in Fort Myers, 61 for Punta Gorda as well as Arcadia. High temperatures right now. I'm forecasting a high yet again of 89 degrees, but that record stands at 90, so it's going to be a close one. We'll stay in the upper 80s, close to 90 over the weekend with that 20% rain chance both days.
And also returning with a situation from coming out of the Manhattan grand jury with the indictment of President Trump. We'll be getting to that very soon. But also Florida homeowners can expect to keep paying hundreds of dollars more each year. And every night we do show you the struggle that so many do have with their property insurance.
Yes, but tonight Fox 4 Investigates Ryan Kruger is working to find out when you can expect the price of your homeowner's insurance to finally go down. Because if you remember, lawmakers had several special sessions to do just that.
Florida lawmakers have spent months trying to fix Florida's property insurance crisis, but the series of new laws have focused on the courtrooms, where Florida has more insurance-related lawsuits than every other state combined.
And because the Florida insurance market was in such a bad position before the legislation was passed, you can't fix it overnight.
But you will be paying more. Citizens Property Insurance, which offers by far the lowest rates in the state, plans to increase rates by 14% on average. That's hundreds of dollars a year. Several other insurance companies have announced plans to raise rates by anywhere from 40 to 60%. We asked the experts, after all of these new laws designed to stabilize the insurance market have been passed, when will customers finally see relief?
We're still going to suffer some pain this year because we don't expect to see significant changes for at least 18 months.
Could cameras help to make activities like walking or bicycling safer in one part of Southwest Florida, specifically in Cape Coral, where you could see sidewalks going in? Next on Fox 4 News at 6.
Live from Fox 4, this is breaking news.
And plenty of new layers and reaction coming out of the Trump indictment from the Manhattan grand jury. Thanks for keeping it here with Fox 4. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. For the first time in United States history, an ex-president is now facing criminal charges, as you're getting a live look now from New York. Any moment now, we were thinking whether or not the former president will be walking out here. A Manhattan grand jury indicting him on charges. What charges exactly, though, we are still waiting on.
This comes after the Manhattan DA has been reviewing the information about the alleged hush money scheme involving former President Trump. Those allegations claim the 45th president paid adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016 for her silence, more than $130,000 in payments. Again, the first time a former president has been indicted on criminal charges. But we do know his team had previously classified those payments as legal expenses.
The question is, how would this in effect impact the 2024 presidential elections? The president said no matter what, he vows to continue to run for elections. But as we know, Chris, that reaction from across Southwest Florida is quickly pouring in.
And we're seeing that especially from prominent Republicans in Southwest Florida as well as statewide. We'll bring in Fox 4's Ryan Kruger to take a look at some of those reactions and statements coming in.
Yeah, a lot of the reactions so far coming from Republican leaders in the Florida Legislative Caucus. Let's go ahead and bring up a couple that we have on the screen. Byron Donalds reacted earlier today, saying today's political indictment of former President Trump is a dark day in history and a threat to our republic by Alvin Bragg and the Democratic Party machine. He goes on to say, it is unfathomable to me that this could happen in America. This is a political persecution that must not stand. Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott, also of Naples, writing, corrupt New York attorneys are following through on the political vendetta against President Trump. They are choosing to waste time attacking a conservative when America has bigger problems to fix. He goes on to write, open border, high crime, fentanyl crisis, just to name a few. That is some of the reaction we are seeing so far. We are still scanning, looking for anything else that people are saying out there. Of note, so far, nothing from Governor Ron DeSantis. And I was just checking former President Trump. He really doesn't use Twitter much anymore. He only uses Truth Social. Nothing from DeSantis or Trump so far, but we will keep monitoring. Guys.
Thanks, Laura. But very curious to see where the governor or the governor's team takes it from this, given some of the words that have been going between those two camps in recent weeks and months.
This is only early reaction coming in. Our Fox 4 Brianna Brownlee is hoping to bring us team coverage with our Fox National team tonight, right here on Fox 4 News at 10. Well, turning to our roadways now, the city of Cape Coral just wrapping up a sidewalk study using traffic cameras to gain more perspective on this. Supporters say this is all about safety.
But people who don't want this say it's just not necessary, as sidewalks would go in some parts of South Cape on both sides of Skyline Boulevard between Cape Coral Parkway and then moving south to El Dorado, about a half-mile south. That's where we also find Fox 4's Caitlin Knapp. And tonight, Caitlin, why this particular area?
Well, Councilman Tom Hayden tells me a lot of people were expressing their concerns and frustrations over the lack of a sidewalk. They actually had a camera here for a traffic study that was taken down just today to let them know how many people were actually walking or riding their bikes in the area. And if you see to the side of me, this is what is on both sides. We only have one bike lane on each side of the road on Skyline, and the sidewalk would be next to it, about 5 feet wide. Most of the people around here tell me they don't want them.
Just don't think we need the sidewalk.
A sidewalk that could potentially go near Al Gross's house on Skyline Boulevard between Cape Coral Parkway and El Dorado, where Diane Miller also lives.
The concept of sidewalks throughout Cape Coral is a great project.
But she's worried about what that means for the side of the road.
So if you put a sidewalk in there, you're going to affect the swale.
Which the city says could happen, depending on the home. Those concerns they expressed on Thursday at a public meeting.
I think it's a waste of money.
The $633,000 project would potentially move mailboxes and palm trees so the 5-foot sidewalks can fit.
It provides pedestrian safety by having a dedicated facility outside of the bike lane to walk on.
Miller suggests adding to the bike lanes.
You could add 2 feet onto the side of the road and get a little wider shoulder.
There's a wide bike lane on both sides. So there's plenty of places for people to walk.
Councilman Tom Hayden, a longtime advocate for sidewalks, says it's about safety for people walking and biking.
We want both to coexist, but we don't want residents walking on the side of the road either.
City numbers I obtained show as of February 15th, only 10% of Cape roads have a sidewalk on at least one side of the road. And future projects during the next 5 years only increase that number to about 12%.
The data shows that we need a sidewalk there. We'll look at making that more of a priority than maybe it is right now.
but it's a sidewalk many here say they don't want.
We don't want to change our neighborhood.
Now, if you didn't get to attend the public meeting today, you can go online to give the city of Cape Coral your input. That link is available right now on our website, fox4now.com. Reporting live in Cape Coral, Caitlin Knapp, Fox 4.
Thank you, Caitlin. Police in Northport caught the actions of one of the officers on video. Police say last Sunday, an officer who was off duty noticed someone driving the wrong way on US 41. So Michael Morales pulled over his car and stood in front of the driver to get the driver to eventually stop. But police did arrest the driver for driving under the influence. Lee County deputies also arrested a man in Lehigh Acres for leaving a puppy in the sun for hours and the dog died. Sheriff Carmine Marcino said deputies made the arrest after taking a call about an animal in distress earlier in the week. Now, a disclaimer, the details over about the next 45 seconds of the story are disturbing. Just going to tell you that right now. Deputies say they arrived at the home in Lehigh Acres along Bryan Avenue North. They saw Oreo, a 6-month-old English bulldog puppy, left in the sun without food or water. Not only that, the sheriff says Oreo was being kept in a cage that was so small that the dog couldn't move around or even lay down, forcing the dog to stand the entire time before he died. So deputies arrested Jonathan Benitez, the owner, who says he left Oreo in the sun because he did not want the dog to rip up his furniture.
The dog's body was deceased, but his teeth were locked into the cage because he was trying to bite himself out of the cage. Basically, the internal temperature of the dog basically cooked with no water or food. And he could not sit or lay down. The cage was so small, he just stood there and basically cooked.
Deputies recorded the temperature where the dog's being held, 127 degrees. The dog's internal temperature was about 109. Benitez is being held on animal cruelty charges. On a lighter note, the Collier County Sheriff's Office got a nod of appreciation today from the Department of Homeland Security. Deputies getting recognized for taking drugs off the streets. CCSO says Homeland Security investigations recognize the Sheriff's Office as the 2023 Partner of the Year for the Tampa region. Sheriff Kevin Rambosk received the award, praising deputies for arresting traffickers and taking drugs out of circulation. Collier deputies worked with Homeland Security, Vice, and Narcotics Bureau to take, listen to this, 3,000 fentanyl pills, 400 grams of cocaine, and more than 200 grams of methamphetamine off the streets last year. From TV to the classroom.
Coming up here on Fox 4 News at 6, a TV star visits Southwest Florida, and she is on a mission. We're talking about someone from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. As a 90s kid growing up, I'm super excited about this, but we're going to talk about how she's hoping to impact children across the country.
Also, some farmers say they're growing the freshest lettuce in all of Southwest Florida. After the break, how they're using science to make your vegetables even healthier.
And temperatures today, record-setting heat in Naples. 89 degrees is where we maxed out, and tomorrow other records are in jeopardy. We'll dive deeper into this and what to expect for the weekend next.
You might recognize this TV star from her role as Hillary Banks, the unforgettable Hillary Banks on Fresh Prince, but tonight taking on a different role right here in Southwest Florida.
An iconic part of my childhood growing up. But Shari Armstrong, she was the lucky one to meet up with Karen Parsons, a.k.a. Hillary Banks, as you just said, as she took the time to meet and inspire folks at Babcock Ranch today. Take a look at her mission.
Inside of Babcock Neighborhood School in Babcock Ranch on Thursday, first and second graders ready with questions in hand, waiting for the day's guest speaker. And when she arrived, a mutual excitement swept the room. To the students, a guest speaker, an author. To their parents and many of you watching, a TV star known for many roles, including the original Hillary Banks in the 90s series Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I was acting before that.
But to Karen Parsons, right now, she's a woman on a mission, writing and traveling, sharing stories and videos of little-known African-American achievements through her nonprofit organization, the Sweet Blackberry Foundation, with students across the United States.
Knowing about our history, the country's history, American history, is important for all of us.
And in a time where opinions differ about what's taught in schools, Parsons says the lessons students can learn from history are for everyone.
It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, whatever. You see yourself in these people that overcame and were capable of so much. I want all kids to see that.
In Babcock Ranch, Shari Armstrong, Fox 4.
Also, a farm in Naples that's growing a whole lot of lettuce, and they're doing it a different but efficient way.
So this farm uses hydroponics to grow its vegetables, and Fox 4 was there to see how this all works. Take a look. Fox 4 photojournalist Mike Lammy actually went down to Naples fresh to see it for himself, and he says the farmers boast that this is the freshest lettuce for all of Southwest Florida. This reminds me of living with the land at Epcot, which is also one of my favorite rides, but the vegetation actually grows year-round, and it provides a lot of jobs to the agriculture industry right there in Collier County. He says that the technology is used to grow the lettuce and make the product healthier.
What makes us unique is that we apply a lot of technology into growing. Not only is more sustainable, but it's a healthier way to grow food. The lettuce is healthier, it's healthier for the environment, and we are always growing close to home.
And listen to this, Naples Fresh says that it uses 95% less water to grow its crops without using any fertilizer. And as a plant person who often propagates in water, this was very cool to see.
So 95% less water, so Naples would probably be the right place to go, given how little rainfall they've had for months.
Absolutely, but take a look at this live shot from the Bayfront in camera in Naples. You do see some clouds there as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walls. Chris had mentioned it. This is an area that desperately needs rain, and we are tracking some tonight.
That's right, Collier County, the driest county in the state, and you can see on the right-hand side of your screen some of those darker clouds. It was from right here. These showers no longer producing any lightning strikes, but they were on Fox 4 News at 5. We were tracking those for you live. I know they're isolated, but at least it's some much needed rainfall. So right now that's really concentrated over Marco Island as well as Goodland. Now seeing things quiet down here in Laley after picking up a little bit of something in the rain gauge. But if you are traveling down 951 down to Marco Island, you're likely dealing with some wet conditions and possibly some slowdowns as well. These showers are nearly stationary, so we'll have to let them rain themselves out here over the next hour or so. In terms of rainfall totals, the airport in Naples receiving only 0.3 in the rain gauge for the entire month so far. Fort Myers registering just 0.1 in the rain gauge going back to March 1st. That makes it the 8th driest March on record going back to 1892. Meanwhile, Punta Gorda, look at that, we're in deficit by nearly 6 inches. So regardless of how you slice it, this, friends, is why we are seeing the exceptional drought conditions. So this is updated from this morning's data from the USGS Drought Monitor. We receive new data in every Thursday morning, and look at this. We are not just the driest in the state, we're the driest east of the Mississippi. So it really gives you an idea of how extreme this is right here in Collier, Hendry, extending into Lee. And then where we don't have extreme drought conditions, then we have severe drought conditions now spreading into central Florida. So we could really use a healthy soaking rain, but as of right now, just not in the cards. We'll see a couple of chances for rain, 10 to 20% through my 7-day forecast, but a big storm system that we need to drop a couple of inches on us, just not in the mix. And of course, when you're looking at temperatures like this, well above normal, that's only exacerbating our drought conditions, making them even worse. Tomorrow, we're looking for a high around 89. That will be within 1 degree of records. Saturday, Sunday into Monday will stay in the upper 80s, not quite in record territory. Those will stay in the low to mid 90s, but you get the point. We are wrapping up this month quite warm indeed. And I looked back at that data, and in Fort Myers, so far, this is the 4th hottest March on record. Today, we were 5 degrees above average between the morning low and the afternoon high. I also added in all of these little R's. We actually did tie a record yesterday of 91. I added in these R's to point out how many days we've had record heat. 5 record high temperatures for March of 2023, the most out of any March on record. So really just hones in on why we're seeing those drought conditions get worse and worse. Heading into tomorrow morning, mostly sunny skies are expected. A little bit of cloud cover forecast for your afternoon. Could squeeze out an isolated sprinkle, but as of right now, your rain chances tomorrow at just 10%. And I am expecting easterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Could see some gusts upwards of 20. Otherwise, hot temperatures will push up toward 89 degrees within a degree or so of records. And then we could see an inland afternoon or evening shower or storm for your Saturday. Rain chances both weekend days at 20%.
Thank you, Katie. Back to Tallahassee as abortion advocates with another defeat, even rallying outside of the state capitol to protest the latest advancement of the 6-week abortion ban in Florida. The bill cleared its final House committee this morning, the Republican majority pushing it through. The ban is now ready for floor votes for both the House and the Senate. Next week is when it could be coming if Governor Ron DeSantis signs it. After the Republican supermajority could pass it, the policy would cut back current law from 15 weeks for legal abortion to 6 weeks, but it does make some exceptions for rape, incest, and deadly fetal conditions. 6 weeks into a pregnancy is also around the time when heart activity is detected, but before many know that they're pregnant. Later this year, the state Supreme Court is expected to consider whether or not the current 15-week abortion law is constitutional.
Another top story in our state today, it's official. Disney World workers will get a raise. Yesterday, members of a coalition of different unions there representing Disney cast members voted yes on the company's latest offer for a pay increase. So more than 12,500 workers voted to ratify this contract, with 97% voting yes. So under the agreement, new and existing Disney World workers will be entitled to a $17 an hour salary, while current cast members will receive a minimum of $18 an hour. Workers there were also entitled to annual pay increases every year of that contract.
Tiger King star Carol Baskin is shutting down her animal sanctuary in Hillsborough County. The nonprofit Big Cat Sanctuary is closing, so the remaining animals will get taken over the coming months to a wildlife refuge based in Arkansas. Once all the cats have gone, the 67-acre property will get sold. It was back in December. Baskin told Fox Business her campaign to protect the animals from private ownership, unauthorized zoos, and circuses has been effective.
We are in Naples this morning as the Parkinson's Association of Southwest Florida gets ready for its signature fundraiser. We're going to talk about the impacts of Parkinson's disease, why it's so important that we raise money for this disease, and we're going to introduce you to a couple, a wife who has Parkinson's and her husband who is her caregiver.
Well, today the Parkinson's Association of Southwest Florida is holding a big fundraiser to help people in our area who have this disease.
And today's Your Healthy Family, Fox 4's Lisa Greenberg, as at the Ritz-Carlton Tiburon Golf Resort in Naples, as the event's starting in just a few hours.
Well, this is where the Parkinson's Association of Southwest Florida held its biggest fundraiser of the year. Their signature fundraiser, it's called A Step Forward Overcoming Obstacles. You can see a look at the setup here at the Ritz-Carlton Tiburon in Naples. Now, what was so incredible about this fundraiser is that all of the money that was raised here today is staying right here in Southwest Florida to help people who are dealing with a Parkinson's diagnosis, no matter what stage of that diagnosis they are in. People like Karen, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about 15 years ago. I talked to her and her husband about an outlet that she uses to deal with her Parkinson's diagnosis and to stay positive and keep moving forward, and that's painting.
She's a very fine artist and had done that for many, many years.
But Larry Sternberg says before her Parkinson's diagnosis, his wife Karen hadn't picked up a paintbrush in about 30 years.
This is the spoonbills. This is from Corkscrew Bird Sanctuary.
Now, Karen says she paints 2 to 3 times a week.
It's a therapy. I feel like I'm in a safe place when I paint. And it's a way of escaping from some of the hardships that I'm going through.
Larry says when Karen's Parkinson's kept her from doing the physical activities she loved, she turned to painting as a way to move forward.
People with Parkinson's disease, a lot of people suffer from depression. And some of that depression results from, I have this disease, I can't do this anymore. And in her case, she's focused on what she can do rather than what she can't do.
And her Parkinson's is what makes her paintings unique.
She paints differently than anybody else because of this little tremor that she has.
And she paints some of her favorite memories.
This one up here, the motorcycle at sunset. I once had a Harley Davidson Sportster in pearlescent pink, and I rode that for a few years.
But this one here is her personal favorite, and it has a story behind it.
When I was 6 years old, I wanted to fly, so I got my mother's bed sheets and put the 4 corners together, and I jumped out of the tree, but the parachute didn't open. And I landed with a big thud.
But 2 months ago, Karen got the opportunity to skydive.
So I did it. And I had an instructor behind me, and he was using a selfie. I took the picture, and that's the painting.
What did that feel like?
It was fun. It was a once-in-a-lifetime feeling, and I loved it. I'd do it again, too.
And she and Larry have this message to share for others facing a Parkinson's diagnosis.
Don't give up.
Parkinson's disease is not a death sentence. People can live very fruitful and productive lives with Parkinson's disease.
Her paintings really are just so incredible, her talent, and just the way that she sees life now. Focusing on the things that she can do and not the things that she cannot do. Now, I want to let you know that you can hear the story from her husband, Larry, about what it's been like to get that diagnosis of Parkinson's disease for his wife, the things he noticed, the symptoms along the way, the changes they've had to deal with, and just the different obstacles they've had to face with this diagnosis, but also how they've remained hopeful. That story's online at fox4now.com/yourhealthyfamily, and that's also where you can find more information on how to donate to the Parkinson's Association of Southwest Florida. For now, for Your Healthy Family, I'm Lisa Greenberg.
And thanks for joining us. We'll have the latest on President Trump's indictment at 10 o'clock.
Tonight, Fox 4 continues to watch out for you and the property insurance crisis in our state, as some say it's simply too much.
It's really disheartening.
So did the changes lawmakers make on property insurance during their special sessions do enough to cut down costs? We're investigating tonight.
Not one, but 4 different threats at Southwest Florida schools on this Thursday, including one that caused a Fort Myers school to go on lockdown.
And it's very scary, especially as a parent.
This is lawmakers' push to make gun access easier in the state. And breaking late, a Lee County educator is fired and now charged with felony child abuse.
We're live breaking down the allegations against this teacher, now accused of hitting students multiple times.
Live from Fox 4, this is breaking news.
And a major story, historic story, as we open up here. Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. Let's get right to it. Breaking across the nation and right into our newsroom right now. The first ever indictment of a United States president has just come down. A New York jury voting to indict former President Donald Trump just moments ago.
And you're looking live in New York City, where the world is watching to see whether or not the former president will get walked out by authorities soon.
So a Manhattan district attorney has been reviewing information about an alleged hush money scheme involving former President Trump. These allegations say that Trump paid out adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016.
And more than $130,000 in alleged hush money payments. And again, the investigation has shown that it initially came from his former attorney, Michael Cohen, who did plead guilty to doing this. And then the president then reimbursing Cohen at a later date. This is, again, the first time a former president has been indicted on criminal charges. And we do know Trump's team had previously classified those payments as legal expenses.
The question here is, how does this play a role in the 2024 presidential elections? He's one of the few who have thrown his name in the hat for the Republican nomination. The former president vowing, despite these criminal charges now officially down tonight, that he does plan to continue to run for president.
And it was just a few days ago, he had a large event in Waco, Texas, as he's been trying to gather support for that presidential run. So definitely curious to see what the next steps are going to be. We'll be following it here on Fox 4 and online, fox4now.com. Also happening right now, we're learning more about the accusations facing Ardeen Johnson. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says that she was a teacher at Lehigh Acres who hit students multiple times.
Yeah, this is also breaking this afternoon. Colton Chavez is live at Lehigh Acres at Harns Marsh Elementary School, giving us the latest on these accusations. Colton, this is not what any parent wants to hear. What are you learning tonight?
Yeah, Nadine, Chris, you said it. So what we're learning tonight, we started taking a look at Harns Elementary School's website. And what we learned is that 39-year-old teacher Johnson actually worked with special needs children right here at the elementary school behind me. So we reached out to the spokesperson for the Lee County School District, Rob Spicker, and he says that Johnson was hired in September of last year, but no longer.
That's a girl's name.
Yesterday, when the school resource officer right here at Harns Marsh Elementary School learned Johnson was striking students. Now, Lee County Sheriff's Office says detectives responded immediately to the school and conducted interviews after having school district officials remove Johnson from the classroom. Now, investigators say Johnson slapped a victim in the hand and would strike them on the legs, back, and butt with a ruler. Now, a short statement from the district said they do not tolerate this kind of alleged behavior. Now, as you've heard Nadine and Chris say, this is an ongoing investigation, and as we continue to learn more information, one thing the Lee County Sheriff's Office detectives have told us is that more charges could be following this case. We'll continue to update you both on air and online at fox4now.com. Live in Lehigh Acres tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
And this also coming for a day where many parents, many students watching the situations all across Southwest Florida. Lockdowns, including at Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, following law enforcement detecting another possible school threat. We first learned about this after confirming that Fort Myers police were following up on a tip that they found on social media.
Yeah, so Fox 4 did reach out to the Lee County Schools spokesperson there. His name's Rob Spicker, and he told us that this was a meme that said that there was a school shooter on campus here. Now, thankfully, that was not the case, and Fort Myers police did search the campus and investigated. Parents waited over an hour for a chance just to get their kids out of school today. We actually spoke with one freshman who says he felt helpless while they waited for an answer.
When I came to school, everyone was outside. I was confused, and then officers were coming, and they just kept coming, and then they told us to go wait by the entrance, and I was just scared.
It's very concerning and it's very scary, especially as a parent. My son, he's a junior here at Dunbar High School, and I just started receiving numerous text messages and calls saying that there was an active shooting going on. So, of course, immediately I had to leave work and, see what's going on.
So that lockdown was lifted around 10 a.m. But listen to this. This was one of 4 school threats in Southwest Florida just within the last 24 hours, including in Venice, DeSoto County, and Glades County. 2 other teens were arrested. Check out fox4now.com for details on the other threats here in our area.
And this is all just happening 3 days after the school shooting in Nashville back on Monday morning, where investigators say a person shot and killed 6 others, including 3 9-year-old students at a private school. Back here in Florida, state lawmakers took another step to looser gun laws. The Republican majority in the Senate approved permitless carry this afternoon, sending it to Governor Ron DeSantis for his anticipated signature. Our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, is in Tallahassee with a deeper look.
As protesters chanted outside the Senate, inside the debate raged for the last time over permitless carry, which, if signed, would allow legal gun owners to carry concealed weapons without the currently required permit or training. For Democrats, it was a non-starter.
When this bill passes, however careful, however well-intended, people are going to die.
We should do everything in our power to make us safer. That's more important.
Republicans have said from the start they're trying to eliminate a government permission slip to access the Second Amendment.
What this bill does for the majority of Floridians is ensure that they have the right to protect those they love.
This bill attempts to return the God-given rights of humanity, the God-given rights of self-defense.
Others highlighted the bill's various public safety measures, like more active assailant training for law enforcement, better threat sharing for schools, and an expansion of Florida's Guardian program to private institutions.
This piece of policy is a continuation of the legacy of school safety that Florida prioritizes.
Even so, Democrats,
we must do more. We will do more. And more guns does not mean more safety.
Voting unanimously against the measure.
27 yeas, 13 nays, Madam President.
So the bill passes.
Overwhelmed by the GOP supermajority, who, despite one defection, is delivering permitless carry to the governor as promised. His pen making it effective July 1st of this year. At the Capitol, I'm Forrest Saunders, Fox 4.
Well, it is 6:07 on this Thursday as we shift now to weather, and you're getting a live look now from the Bayfront Inn in Collier County. You see boats are on the water. What you also see, Chris, are some darker clouds where the rain so much needed in this area.
And that drought situation we're seeing here in Southwest Florida, but also many parts of the American West, the Mountain West. So real factor right now. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls joining us.
That's right. From the plains to Texas, that's where we are seeing a lot of those drought conditions. But look at this. We have a bullseye right here over Southwest Florida. We are officially the driest part of the country on this side of the Mississippi River, which runs right through there. So there you go. It just goes to show how exceptionally dry it is. We received this new data in from the USGS Drought Monitor this morning. Now officially extreme drought here for parts of Collier, Hendry, into Lee. Elsewhere, severe drought conditions continue to worsen, and it's no surprise that we've seen it get worse over the course of March because of these factors. So far, it's the 4th hottest March on record, and Fort Myers has set more records this month, 5 so far, record highs, than any March on record. Also, it's the 8th driest March on record, so you factor all of that together, no surprise that we are seeing our drought conditions get worse. And with temperatures like this near records once again tomorrow, I'm expecting, unfortunately, those conditions to worsen here in the days and weeks ahead. We'll talk more about where we could see some much needed rain next.
All right, Katie, thank you for that. Well, 5 years after a Fort Myers police officer was killed in the line of duty, today a judge officially said the death penalty trial against Wisner Desmarais will begin on Monday.
Desmarais accused of taking Officer Adam Jobbers Miller's gun out of his holster and shooting him after a chase. This was near Palm Beach Boulevard outside of a gas station. The officer died 1 week later. Desmarais, who will represent himself, told Judge Robert Branding he's ready for trial. The judge explained that means during jury selection, Desmarais will handle questioning jurors himself and cross-examination of witnesses. He responded by saying that only God, not a jury, should judge him.
I just want to know what these people
what their backgrounds is and who they are. Because, you know, there's a lot of people. We picking a lot of people.
We are. And you'll get to ask exactly that question.
And jury selection is set to start on Monday with up to 75 candidates to be seen, with the hopes of being able to select 12 jurors and 4 alternates.
Also new tonight, the man who shot and killed an FWC officer who was off duty in 2020 has now been sentenced to life in prison. A judge handing down that sentence to Eliseo Hernandez today. Earlier this year, a jury ruled that Hernandez is guilty of killing FWC officer Julian Keene. Hendry County deputies say they found Keene's body in a canal with a bullet and several bullet wounds in his chest. Hernandez actually fled the scene after the shooting, again, now sentenced to life in prison. Well, we all know that homeowners insurance is expensive. It was a crisis before Ian and made so much worse after. Unfortunately, that news isn't getting any better tonight.
But what about all the effort in Tallahassee, all the special sessions to try to stop this? Coming up, Fox 4 Investigates looks over those laws to find out what is or is not working for you and your homeowner's insurance policy.
And there are more gators on Sanibel Island, and they are more aggressive tonight.